Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communication, family relationships all over the world through the lens of self-government. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about understanding the narcissism trend. Narcissism definitely is on the rise. We have to be asking ourselves, why is this happening? I know that there are many psychologists, therapists who have noticed an increase in narcissistic cases in their offices. And there are reasons why some of this might be happening. Now, I don't pretend to know the answer to everything, but I do see some trends, and I talk to a lot of families who come to me trying to get coaching and help with their family problems. And I have noticed that there are some key things that are taking place societally that are probably trending people toward narcissistic tendencies. There are things that we can do about it, so let's take some time to understand it here in this video. So narcissism is definitely on the rise. Let's understand what narcissism actually even is so that we can better understand how to identify it and what to do about it, or maybe even to try to reverse the trend. That would definitely be a positive outcome for increasing our knowledge about narcissism. Narcissism is a type of psychological abuse, and it actually falls into the category of personality disorders. So personality disorders are really hard to break, and they can create all kinds of relationship problems, fractured families. There can even be safety problems that result because a person is so absorbed in their narcissistic tendencies that they don't even fully think clearly. So when a person is a narcissist, they really are focused on controlling certain things in their life. So they are controlling usually certain people to try to get certain outcomes, and they use different strategies for controlling people. I have a whole other video just on those strategies, so be sure to look at that video. In this video though, what I'd like to talk about is trying to reverse the trend. Let's talk about personality disorders, narcissistic personality disorders. There's actually three. You've probably heard them referred to in different terms. So there's just regular narcissism, which sounds like it's no big deal compared to the next level, which is being a sociopath, and then the final level being a psychopath. So narcissism being on the rise is really frightening, because not only do we have a whole bunch of people not valuing others because they're just trying to get stuff out of other people and use people to get things they want, which is your basic run-of-the-mill narcissism, but then we also have the problem that narcissism could start trending towards something even more extreme, like sociopathic behavior or psychopathic behavior, which we definitely don't want to see increasing, but sadly, there is a lot of that that's going on right now as well. So let's understand the differences between those three things. The best description of the difference between narcissism, sociopaths, and psychopaths is actually in this book here. So there is a book, and I'm going to refer to this multiple times, by Shannon Thomas, and she's a therapist, and it's called Healing from Hidden Abuse. And she really has spent a lot of time and effort focusing on trying to help people heal from narcissistic relationships, the trauma, the psychological abuse that has happened because of this hidden type of abuse, which is what narcissism is. It's usually hidden. And we're going to talk some more in other videos about what it looks like so that you can see how hidden it truly is. So Shannon talks about how a narcissist is a person who will run over you with their car, and just in order to get what they want, right? Then a sociopath is a person who will run over you in their car, and then they'll make a little smile like, that kind of felt good. I kind of liked that. And she says, but a psychopath will run over you in their car, and then they will back up and run over you again just to make sure the job is really well done. Scary, right? Scary. And this is the mentality of so many people that are around us right now. So let's talk about how this has happened. How have we created an environment where narcissism is starting to almost seem somewhat normal or commonplace, and where so many people are not feeling safe in their relationships or with friends or coworkers or sometimes even in their church groups, because there are these people that are trying to systematically control them and doing so in really devious, even hidden ways. So we're going to talk more about toxic behaviors related to narcissism and what is leading to narcissism. But before we do, click the subscribe button now. You don't want to miss any more great videos related to narcissism or other behaviors and relationship improvement on this channel. So click subscribe now. So a narcissist is most often formed by another narcissist. So usually if one parent is a narcissist and they have chosen someone as their target, then that target child oftentimes becomes a narcissist. Although it can also happen with the ally child. Usually a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath, they have their people that they use to try to make their manipulations work and to try to inflict the most pain on their targets. So they pick a target person, or it could even be a target group, although usually it's easier to control one person. So they'll pick one or two people, and then what they do is they show them all the bad. They attack them, they do these devious things to them, and nobody else knows about it. In fact, if they talk about it, people might think, you're insane. That person's a great, charismatic kind of a lady or a guy. And they would never believe it. In fact, they probably think the person who is questioning whether this treatment is okay, they might think that that person's a little bit crazy. Actually, this is what it looks like, and that target person sees, okay, that's how you gain control. You have to play these games, so I've got to start learning how to play the games, right? So that they adopt the same games that are being used on them, and they start using them on other people. They usually don't turn and use them on the narcissist that was attacking them. Instead, what they do is they start practicing those skills on other people until they become the next generation of narcissist. Now, the ally is a person that the narcissist chooses to be their friend, the person that they show their very best to. It's like, oh, I am the most amazing person. I care about everybody. No one would ever think bad about me. And hey, how about you work with me on this, and we're going to both see that that person who is our target person is actually a villain. Right? So they're going to use this ally, this person they like the best. They're going to dote on that person, give them everything, and then they're going to point their energy towards somebody else. Not too long ago, a friend of mine who is in a blended family found out about a situation where her children were going to the other parent's home, and the one parent was becoming an ally with one child and then attacking the other child to the point of really extreme abuse. This is the type of thing that happens. The one child feels like, oh, I'm getting all this money and all this stuff. And the thing is the target person still loved the narcissist because they were still trying to get the affection of the narcissist. So this is how the narcissist will get two people trained oftentimes for how to become the next narcissist. So this is a big thing. The more narcissists you have in your society, the more narcissists that you could have afterwards. So it's just like a breeding ground for more narcissism, especially if nobody's setting it straight, nobody's calling anybody out on it. So one thing that we have going for us, I should really say against us, I guess, in our society right now that's breeding more narcissism is emotional entitlement. So if we have narcissists training other narcissists, and as a society in general, we're saying if you have an emotion, if you have a feeling, you've got to get it out on somebody. You've got to dump those things out in order to be healthy, in order to be okay. Then guess what we're doing? We're opening the door to bullying and narcissistic manipulations because we're saying, hey, you get to be emotional at somebody else, which then means that other people aren't sure if they should be shutting this down or if this is good for the person. And so they start taking abuse. And then when they start becoming psychologically abused, they lose track of the fact that this is not normal, right? So if we normalize emotional dumping on other people, then we are in essence normalizing a lot of the negative effects of narcissism and what people are willing to put up with and not. So that's not a healthy thing. Another thing that we're doing socially, which really is not great, and it of course relates to the entitlement, but just having laziness, okay? So in our society, when we are embracing the laziness of the children, embracing the laziness of our spouses or ourselves, we start to develop more of that entitlement. So just overall laziness, not working hard because we might live in an affluent society where there's plenty of, stuff for everybody. And so it doesn't seem like we need to put forth a ton of effort. Well, at that moment, we open the door to narcissism, feeling like we deserve to be in control of all kinds of stuff. We deserve to have all kinds of stuff. So that is really dangerous when your society trends away from being a hardworking society and finding the value in work and trending toward I just deserve and somebody better do it for me. Then that makes it so that there become more narcissists around us. Another thing that's happening socially and within the family unit actually that's leading to more narcissism is coddling and spoiling children. So when we coddle children and we give them everything they want to make them happy, we spoil them, we don't ever want them to be crying, we want to, dote on them, every little thing, we actually are bringing up a narcissist. There was a time when I went to China years ago to do some teaching, and I remember at the time people were talking about the little emperor syndrome, right? So there was one child in most Chinese families, and oftentimes it was a boy because that's what they chose to keep, because they could only have one. Now I know things have changed now, but that's how it was at the time back in 2010 when I went there, and they would say, there's this problem here. We need help with our parenting because we've got these children that are having this, real disrespectful parents. They're not doing what they are telling them to do. But I noticed that everyone around the child, the grandparents, and usually multiple grandparents are helping raise the child, and then the parents too, they are all treating the child like royalty, doting on the child because they only have one, right? So they're putting all of this extra attention on the child. The child gets anything that they want. And then it shouldn't surprise them that the child becomes very strong-willed and becomes very narcissistic. So spoiling children is not a good thing, even though it can be tempting to do, especially if you have an only child, but still working with that child and expecting a lot of things out of the child in a healthy way, because there's also the unhealthy expecting that leads to depression and stuff. We don't want to go there, but expecting that they mature, they learn, they grow, they learn adult skills. Those kinds of things are all really good expectations to have on a child as they're growing, and that would be some really good training. Another factor for increase in narcissism is actually a lot of the increase in instability when it comes to mental health issues. The more people who are autistic, the more people who struggle with different processing difficulties, the more narcissism we're going to see, because oftentimes when a person develops narcissism, they also have processing differences from other people. So if you're working with someone who processes things in a different way, maybe has a disability, you need to make sure that you are keeping them grounded as far as having good communication, good expectations. You're talking to them about things. You're not allowing them to control you or somebody else, because they have more of a tendency to trend toward narcissistic behavior. So just keeping that in mind is going to be important. Now, here's something affecting narcissistic numbers that might surprise you, and that is the bonds within the family. So when a family is more closely bonded together, that actually usually decreases narcissism. So we are having a problem right now with broken family bonds. People are their own islands. They're kind of out for themselves. And this actually would have a tendency to increase narcissism, because the people in the families are not caring about how their behaviors are affecting other people. They're just trying to get what they want, which is kind of at the root of all of narcissistic behavior. The increase in narcissism is ruining our happiness, our safety, our productivity, our relationships. We've got to be so careful. We really need to improve our relationships. So if you've enjoyed this video, then I know you will really appreciate the next video, which is understanding narcissistic behavior and relationships. In that video, I'll be talking about some of the things that people do to others and what it does to our relationships when it comes to narcissism. This will be a list of things you won't want to miss because this will help you be able to identify narcissism in your daily life.